Hello guys, welcome back to my channel. It's your girl Nege, and I'm going to be showing you guys how I made compost using a composting bucket and how I went from this to this. I promise you this video is original, no filters, no lies, no mago. I'm going to make it as very detailed as possible, also highlighting the challenges I faced and the thing you might want to pen down. This is my first time composting in buckets, and I'll bring you more videos as I keep learning and improving. And don't hesitate to hit the subscribe button and join the family while you guys join me, and keep watching to see how it all started. So the first step is getting a container. I'm using bucket container, and you have to make holes. You can choose to use a bucket or a drum or whatever you want to use depending on your usage. I'm using bucket because it's beginner friendly and it's smaller to use, and I'm making holes in them. One of the mistakes I made is to make the holes smaller, even though it was like every part of the container. You want to make the holes bigger, so don't forget that. Then also you start adding your shredded or your dry leaves. Shredding the leaves is not necessary, but it speeds up the rate of reaction. That's why I'm shredding the leaves, so you might want to consider that. But it's not necessary, like I said. So your browns are your newspapers, non-glossy newspapers or cartons. Your dry leaves, the leaves I'm using is soursop dry leaves in my compound, and also dry plantain leaves. And I'm just going to wet this. And one of the mistakes I made was to water this for long. Guys, you don't need to water for long. Just 1 to 2 second spray is enough, because I had the whole thing was leaking much later, so you don't want to do that. So after adding your browns, you go on with the greens. Your greens are your vegetable waste from your kitchen, your fruit peels and the rest of them, apart from your meat scraps, fish scraps, and milk products. Those are not supposed to be included. Meat, fish and milk products are not to be added to your compost pile. You want to keep that in mind. You just need your kitchen waste, like your fruit peels, your vegetable waste, bananas, fruits, all of them. I'm going to be posting them on the description box down below. So I'm just adding my vegetable waste, and I also cut this into bits too, so that I can get faster results. It's not necessary, but if you want to do this, you want to use a hand glove, because it might get so messy cutting this up. So I'm just going to keep adding this. And one of the things you have to consider is the ratio. That's the brown to the green ratio. The brown to the green ratio should be 3:1. That's 3 parts of brown and a part of green. You want to make sure that the brown is more than the green. Do not make the mistake of making the green more than the brown. If not, you get your compost pile unbalanced. So that is one of the things you have to consider. So I'm just going to wet this, and like I said, 1 to 2 second spray is enough. And I'm going to be adding soil, dry soil. Well, dry soil acts like a filler. Like, I just add it because I feel it does something to my compost. It kind of absorbs some of the moisture from the other materials, and it also contains microorganisms. Like, soil is a living material, so it has some microorganisms that are beneficial for your composting process. So I'm just gonna repeat this over again like I did, and that's just it. The watering blunder I did was so much that it got me so pissed. Like, everything was literally leaking out of the hose, And it's not necessary, guys, to wet the soil. Like, just put the soil without wetting it. Like, that's one of the mistakes that should be avoided. So I'm just going to keep repeating the same process. And if you notice, guys, this particular green I added was too much, and much later I noticed I added too much green, and I made sure I corrected that. So you don't want to add so much green. And I'm going to fill this up to the brim and add some layer of soil. This is 3 days after the first day of composting, and if you notice, the stuff has really gone down. And I'm just going to aerate this by digging in to give air spaces inside so that aerobic process can be achieved. And I'm going to be adding another layer of soil, and I'm going to be filling it up the same way we did the previous time, just to keep filling it up so we can achieve enough space so that heat can be generated in the compost pile. And one of the things I noticed is using a bucket compost really doesn't give so much effect compared to when using a big drum. Like, when you have more products, there is more heat generated and the faster it decomposes than using a small bucket like this. But it's more handier, like more easier for me. So I'm going to be adding some warm casting, just like I added soil, and look at the water that came out, and I'm going to be putting it back inside. And I'm going to be adding another layer of green and another layer of brown, just like that. And here we go. Composting is hard work, guys. If you don't have the time, you can actually pay someone to do the job for you. This is the next day, guys, and I decided to do some testing to know how hot the pile is. And I'm just going to be placing the iron bar inside, and I noticed that the stuff was hot, but not hot like the way I expected it. So I'm just going to leave it for some days and check again like that. And I'm just going to be aerating it like so. This is the next 1 week later, and I noticed that there's a lot of maggots and a lot of decomposing going on. This stuff has gotten dark, and it's kind of hot inside. Not really hot, but it's hot, and a lot of maggots, and it's really smells like it smells. I'm just going to be turning this up because I really want my stuff to be aerobic and not anaerobic. This is 8 days later. I've not been consistent. I'm supposed to be turning this by 3 days, every 3 days, turning it to add oxygen inside. This is one of the problems I face. You want to be consistent, like turning every 3 days if you want the compost to decompose faster. So this is what it looks like after 8 days, the previous video you just watched. And I'm just going to be turning this, and I literally turned everything outside and put it back inside so that the stuff can be mixed properly and effectively. So guys, you won't believe what happened. I had an important travel I had to make, and I left this compost pile for more than a month. And I came back after 32 days, and I went to check it, and I noticed this stuff is forming kind of aerobic what do I call it, but it's no longer aerobic, it's kind of anaerobic right now because of the lack of so much oxygen and aeration, and I did not want that. So I had to turn this seriously. Like, I literally brought everything out and I kept turning it. I really felt bad because I know if I was present and I kept following this and doing this consistently, it would have gone far. Like, it would have decomposed faster than it is right now. So these are the things you want to bear in mind when doing yours. And this is when I brought it out, and this is what it looks like. Trust me guys, it would have gone way better than this. So I decided to be more consistent in turning this pile for 3 to 4 days to get that result. And after 3 weeks later, this is the 3rd week later, like after 3 weeks, I got this result. At this point, it was no longer smelling. It's actually cured. Like, it has this kind of smell like you're in the woods and the soil on the earth, that kind of smell. That's what it smells like. It doesn't have any distinct smell. It just smells so cool and so cold and so soft. I felt so fulfilled achieving this. Like, you guys, you need to try this out. It's really amazing how it got so dark and so cool and smells so neutral. Like, they say compost has a sweet smell, but mine doesn't smell sweet. It just has a cool smell. So this is what it looks like. Some of the materials I used in the compost did not fully decompose. Things like the mango seeds, the bones, and some other sticks. So I removed them much later and fixed them in another compost pile. And I want you guys to know that I also used earthworms to achieve this. Like, I added earthworms to my compost pile. So guys, this is what my compost looks like. It's not perfect like the ones you see on Instagram that are finely grained. However, I'm going to use it by adding it to my garden soil, and I'm also going to dry it kind of so that it won't be sticky the way it is. So this is one of the reasons why you don't want to add so much water in your compost pile. But for me, it is ready, and I'm going to be making use of it. The more I continue, the more I perfect in the craft. So I hope you guys like this video. Don't forget to thumbs up and leave a comment or a suggestion, and don't forget to subscribe to the family, subscribe to my channel and join the family, and leave your suggestions. If there's anything you feel I did not do well or I forgot to do, please leave a message, and keep watching for more content, and God bless you. Bye.